The Delphi method bridges past and future. Although the method gets its name from the Greek oracle of antiquity, modern forms of the Delphi method have evolved in step with technology.
Conceived in the 1950s, the Delphi method addressed questions that had no clear and definitive answer. Questions about the future evolution of technology and society were typical. What are the origins of this method and how does it work today? Watch on to find out.
I'm Martin Richards.
I am Zainab Yassin.
And we're Futures researchers.
And we are based at the Finland Futures Research Center.
Imagine that you are an ancient Athenian and you have a burning question. The answer might set you on the path to prosperity or disaster. What do you do? Well, of course, you must seek the greatest wisdom of the age from the oracle at Delphi herself. So you visit her at the mountain temple, but her visions are cryptic. You can rely on the priests of Apollo to interpret her words and relate them to the question at hand.
We can trace the first use of Delphi as a futures research method to the 1950s. At this time, the RAND Corporation think tank was developing experimental methods for improving the accuracy of military technical forecasts. It may sound like something out of a spy thriller, but the reality is that they were concerned with conformity and cognitive bias. They had realized that a group of experts could often generate insights, but group dynamics tended to derail discussions and distort findings.
In other words, they were trying to do two things. Firstly, reduce the tendency of groups to conform to the opinion of the most reputable speaker. And secondly, facilitate a debate focused on the ideas, independent from the influence of social dynamics. What resulted was a series of elaborate procedures that we will illustrate briefly here.
The classic Delphi method proceeds in stages. A question of interest is asked of a panel of experts. The expert panel responds. Moderators gather and distill the responses, giving equal weight to the arguments. The report is fed back to the experts, who then answer the same question again. Repeat steps 1 to 4 until a consensus on the answer is reached.
Now, the astute among you will have noticed that this procedure is slow, expensive, and may not produce the kinds of outcome that is actually useful for answering the question. Over the following decades, researchers using the Delphi method would experiment with many different configurations. Next, we'll have a look at some of the adaptations that came out of this development.
First, let's consider the issue of speed. In the present day, most Delphi processes are conducted online. This typically allows for responses to be seen in real time with frequent asynchronous rounds. No need to meet in one place or keep the post office busy, reducing costs. Time-sensitive questions can be answered as the whole process doesn't take months.
Digital platforms also support the facilitation of the discussion, reducing costs, namely through automated systems like voting, ranking, rating, which reduce the burden on human facilitators to synthesize and report. Anonymity is facilitated by the digital platform itself, and global participation is possible, increasing the diversity of participants.
It's also worth pointing out two epistemological evolutions. The first is that of the argumentative Delphi. This design isn't about initiating a firestorm of hard feelings. Far from it. The argumentative Delphi focuses on the reasoning behind the responses of participants by supporting the presentation, critique, and refinement of arguments. The intent here is to develop the strongest arguments supporting the final outcome.
The second evolution is that of the dissensus Delphi. This variant supports the exploration of radical positions in order to highlight areas where expert opinions diverge. This kind of Delphi aims to map the range of possibilities in response to a given question, rather than narrowing down to a single agreed-upon answer.
Delphi methods are often used along with other futures research methods that we will cover in this series. For example, a Delphi survey may support the assessment of technology readiness or as part of a horizon scanning process or feed into scenario creation. Delphi methods are commonly used as preparation for Foresight workshops and in conjunction with other participatory Foresight methods.
Limitations. Despite decades of development, cognitive biases remain in the results of Delphi surveys, particularly with regards what constitutes expertise for a given topic. The idea that a Delphi method can forecast or predict the future remains quite prevalent. And group dynamics still seem to be in play, even with anonymization and technological mediation.
In conclusion, the Delphi method remains a versatile and popular tool among researchers even 70 years after its initial development. Modified Delphi methods have been applied in numerous disciplines: medicine, business economics, science and technology studies, environmental sciences, and education, and for a variety of purposes, namely to test policy measures, to plan and prepare for crisis, to construct scenarios, and formulate policy recommendations.
If you find yourself involved in a Delphi process, we hope this short introduction to the method will help you to make the most of both contributing and appreciating the nuances of the process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Join us in next video.
Mapping ripple effects. Exploring cascading consequences with the future's wheel.